Welcome to 45 Forward with host, journalist, and speaker, Ron Rowell. Ron's mission is to make your second half of life even better than your first. Most of us are just approaching our half-life when we reach the mid-40s with many productive years ahead. Ron is here to help prepare us for this kind of longevity by providing vital strategies to shift the traditional waiting for retirement model to a continuous, evolving journey of compelling life chapters. So now, please welcome the host of 45 Forward, Ron Rowell.
Welcome, everyone, to 45 Forward on Bold Brave Media. I'm your host, Ron Rowell. In today's show, which is part of our continuing series during Women's History Month, I'm welcoming a remarkable and still evolving woman, Valentina Janek. Now, it's hard to describe Valentina with a simple label. She's a marketing consultant, she's a career coach, she's a midlife advocate, a senior information specialist, not to mention an author, contributing writer, actress, and creator of a weekly streaming TV show. Today, Valentina is going to take us through her many iterations and many life changes. And as I mentioned, she's still evolving after all this time, every day. And she's going to tell us all about these various changes and how she get through them, how she's adapted, how she's learned from them. And as she's told me before, she has learned all the way through. And every time she tries something new, she learns something new. So now let's welcome the ever-evolving Valentina Janek. Valentina, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's nice to be here.
It's nice to have you. And so, as I mentioned before, you've been through lots of stuff and lots of very interesting stuff. But I want us to start a little bit from the beginning. Now, I understand you didn't go to college, but that didn't stop you at all. And you've had a lot of your early career was in the corporate sector. So tell us a little bit about that and about how you we'll eventually get to how you transitioned to the entrepreneurial sector.
Well, I was always in corporate America. At first at a great organization on Long Island called Tech, and they made airplane parts. And I was in the corporate office handling the vice president of all the things that a vice president does when he's in charge of the stock and how the stock goes up and down, and learning all about the stock market. It was difficult, but in the end, I was there for quite a few years. And my husband actually worked in the factory part of the company.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of weird that happened. And but we never did anything together in a corporate role.
Right. And then from there, you went to a number of places, including, I think, one of your places that you mentioned to me in our previous conversation that you enjoyed was CMP Media.
Yeah,
different kind
CMP
of job.
Media. That was my favorite, best job I ever had in life, my whole career. Learned it was a technology company of 26 magazines. I worked for the top editor of a weekly trade publication. I learned everything that I do now from him because I was the barrier that people couldn't get past me and wanted stories and be in this great publication. Did a lot of conferences and events. And I ate, slept, and drank editors. And I'll tell you, in business, and one person has an editor, one only editor, as a friend, and he's great, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's nice to hear because as a writer and then as an editor, I often found editors are annoying.
They are, and
But
they say things, and they want the truth all the time.
yeah, and they help your copy get better. And I've
They
had
do, and I
experiences.
remember when I first went, I was scared to death of them. But in the end, I worked in a big room full of editors, and I learned all about what a business card, how important it is.
Right.
They used to hide them on people. They were a lot of fun.
Right. So, and then we'll get to your writing as a result of some of this. Now, of course, at a subsequent job, you had the experience of being let go, which I assume led to your book, From Fire to Freedom. So tell us a little
Yes.
bit about that. It's a and I think subsequently, I think a lot of your work works with is with people who have been let go, fired, whatever you want, downsized, in various forms. So tell us about a little bit that experience and how it sort of spurred you on to really
Okay.
look at this subject.
Well, after being let go, I was devastated. And anyone
Mm-hmm.
that tells you they were happy when they first got let go, it's not possible.
Right.
And it became part of my life, my family, and the editors just became. I learned so much from them. But it was a time when women weren't really allowed to say too much or get that big story.
Mm,
But I learned how to do it while watching them, page one, page two. And when I left, I was devastated because I had my dreams of being an editor someday because I
mm-hmm.
enjoyed it so much. But I couldn't get a job. I was experienced. I made six figures, and I was too smart, too old, and made too much money. And I
Mm,
went on several interviews, and then I started meeting these people in the interview room, in the conference room, where we were going for the same job. So we started to chit chat, and then we started to have breakfast
mm.
every week, once a week, because we couldn't get a job, and we were helping each other with resumes. And the Long Island Breakfast Club was formed as a joke because we got thrown out of a diner on 110 for spending too much time and not enough money, even though the diner was empty.
Wow. Wow.
And that was
So,
the day we made the name because we're standing in the outside in the parking lot laughing. And I said, well, I called Newsday and they said, well, who are you people? I said, well, we're the Breakfast Club, like the movie, like the kids in detention, only we're 50 plus.
hmm.
And
Yeah,
that
and
was,
that's
yeah, a long time ago.
yeah, but that was the start. That's interesting. So everything started in diners, even if you were thrown out of one. It started in a
Yes,
diner.
yes. Any meeting, any business, and then we moved on to networking as well as training people how to do things to change their resume and volunteering. And
Hmm.
volunteering is what helped everybody grow their resume. And I would put them to work and we'd volunteer, not get paid, but we'd meet people and get little jobs, gigs, and just be invited to some nice things because we were very good marketers.
Right. Yeah. So that was one of your core skills that did come out of your corporate career, that marketing skill, which can be useful in anything you do. I think people don't realize. They think marketing, well, what's that? It's like, well, it's what you need in most cases. It's like you have
It
your
is.
core
And
skills, but you need to
yeah.
be able to market them.
But I'll tell you, teachers in college, they don't market like I do. They market by the book. I
Hmm.
market with the people I work with by conversation.
Right.
And
Right.
when a student comes to me to do an internship, she's book smart, but she has no idea about what makes the marketing go.
Hmm. Now this has been upscaled, so to speak. So now it's not just a club of beating, but it's basically a podcast, right?
Yes. Well, what happened was we were growing and growing. I had gotten an interim job, and I was going to be building this little project for a government job on Long Island and
Hmm.
helping small business. And there was some changes in management, and the job went away. So I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to build this podcast. Again, I
Hmm.
was devastated, lost again. I thought I was set for retirement. Didn't happen. And we started a podcast in a little junky little, you know, comedy club. And we
Hmm.
only I stayed for 6 months, but I learned the business. But it
Hmm.
was a different subject. I couldn't bring
Hmm.
corporate people to a comedy club. That just not doesn't work. From there, I rented a little place in where I lived, and we were there for a very long time, 4 years. It was in the daytime when the nightclub was closed, so we had this very nice image in a
Hmm.
nightclub, and it was beautiful. And we started the podcast, and then we moved up to a TV studio, and that's where we are now at Strong Island TV in
Hmm.
Massapequa. And I have 300 tomorrow. Will be my 364th show.
Wow. Wow. So, how does the show work? I mean, do you have basically a guest in the show, or people call in, or how does
Well,
that work?
no, we don't have call-ins. We used to, but really
Okay.
the same people call in all the time, and they kind of they just want to, win free things.
Mm-hmm.
The show is
Right.
all about people, places, things, businesses, actors, performers, people that love dogs, people that have a business that can't afford a real public relations company.
I
But they
see.
can come to our studio, they get a photo shoot, they get to talk about their company, they get the video, and we share it everywhere on, all over social media, as well as on Instagram. And we do live networking right on the show. It's quite
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And it's not just about one industry. We do 5 different industries on one show because that's where the camaraderie happens and a sale is made.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very different.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that you deal with people in mid-career, in their
Yes.
well, in their 50s and 60s. So that's a tough time, and so your book is From Fire to Freedom. So, but freedom can be scary, and so
Yes.
what are some of the, if you can think of some of the consistent themes you deal with, and consistent worries or themes or fears that people have?
Well, the fear is when you're over 50 because
Mm-hmm.
you've been on maybe 5 interviews and now you're 55 or that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get interviewed by a very young person, whether it be a male or female, and they're not going to hire you. And they ask you very silly questions, which is very sad because they're illegal. And you're like getting interviewed by your granddaughter
Wow.
or your grandson. So that's a problem. So you have to, I would coach these people and tell them, look, just talk about yourself, talk about why you would make a good candidate, and
Mm-hmm.
look the ad. You have to look the corporate look, even though, maybe you don't want to anymore, but you have to. And basically, I even used to have some men that I coached to color your hair, get a
Mm-hmm.
wig, do something that you look a little younger and pick something different that you've never done before and volunteer. That's one of the things I would always talk about. Be strong, but be passionate about one thing when you are interviewing. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you try something and you love it, well, then go with it. Because when you volunteer, you're around people that want to be there, are not paid to be there, want to be there, and they'll help you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what the Breakfast Club show is about, people helping
Mhm,
people, even people that are ill, that maybe need a new lung or, some type of blood test that they want people to get tested because they need blood in the hospital. And just stuff happens. And somehow, when these things happen on the show, this one knows that one, this one remembers me from somewhere else, another client. And it just really works. It's
mhm,
interesting to watch. And it's not about anything, it's about everything and nothing.
mm, right. It's like, it's like a more focused Seinfeld. Remember that show? Oh, it's a show
It
about
is,
nothing.
and some shows are very funny. I remember the day this gentleman traveled in. He was an author, all the
Mhm,
way, very, very long distance, and he fell. He fell on the stage. He passed out, and he's a little strange. But we were like, oh no, But we picked him up, and he got right back down. He drove that distance. He wanted to
mhm.
talk about his book,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
authors love the show because it's a
Mhm.
different way to market yourself.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
now we're into actors loving the show. And we
Okay.
do have performers who will sing for us at the beginning of the show and the end of
Uh-huh.
the show.
Okay.
So, and it could be a dentist in the middle of the show, and it could be somebody that wants to be an actor or in a
Mhm,
play. And I don't know, he usually winds up getting a ticket or something happens,
mhm.
and some kind of business does take place after.
Wow. Wow. So people have gotten gigs and show and, jobs from your show.
Yes, even the performers, I get them gigs now
Mhm,
because I know the restaurants come on the show. The restaurants come on because it's a simple way to market. And then they put the show right in their restaurant. Everyone has a PC and a big screen. And then the performers that come to sing for me, I send them to the restaurant and vice
mm,
versa. They send the restaurants to me where they sing.
mhm.
And it's really unique and it's simple. I say, go back to what mama taught me. Go
Uh-huh.
back to basics. Basics. That's what
Right.
really makes it today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
yes,
but
technology is great, but you know what? These kids today, I mean, I coach kids too.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go back to what really matters, people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like, well, it's the breakfast club, or it could be the luncheon club. It's basically, sitting around a table, so to speak, and just
Yes,
talking and just exchanging information, in the old-fashioned way, right? Like Mama did.
exactly.
Yeah,
And the reason we haven't changed the name is because we've done so well. We don't want to change the name because
right,
it happened for a reason.
right,
And when Newsday put us on the map that day, we weren't going to go back. But breakfast is the cheapest meal of the day. And, everybody was out of work. So
right,
we tried to
and then,
keep it easy. And we didn't take money from anyone. We didn't
yeah,
take dues because
right,
we were all there for the same reason. We
right,
wanted
right,
to work. And we wanted to work when some people don't want to work when they get laid off.
right, right. Okay, listen, it was a good time to take a short break, which we will do. But when we come back, we'll be talking much more with Valentina Janek. So don't go away, anybody. We'll be right back.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, folks. Once again, this is Ron Roel on 45 Forward on Bold Brave TV. Our guest today is Valentina Janek, who is a multi-talented woman during Women's History Month. We've been talking about some of her corporate and career experiences. She's had a lot of dimensions, and one of them, which is interesting, we mentioned her first book. Well, no, it was not her first book. One of her prominent books is From Fire to Freedom. But she has another book, a thin book, but a very personal book called In Love and Friendship. And this came out of a very deeply personal story, but it's a very interesting story. So tell us about this story about a girl named Nicole.
Okay, well, there's a little girl that's still alive, lives in Center Beach, Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always visit Port Jeff Station all the time. My best friend lives there. She's still there. And every other weekend, especially when you're out of work, get in the car and you go. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been friends for 47 years. At the time we met this child's grandmother. When you're at work, sometimes you go for a drink at the bar because
Mm-hmm.
you want to talk to your friends. So my girlfriend and I, Jerry's her name, Harkins, we went and we met the grandmother at a bar who was very upset about her
Mm-hmm.
granddaughter. We had a drink or two. And of course, I have a personality that says, all right, let's hear about it. So what did we
Mm-hmm.
do? We said, take us to the child. And we went. And from the moment we walked in the door, this beautiful red-haired, blue-eyed, gorgeous little girl named Nicole, she needed hyperbarics in order to survive. And at that time, many, many years ago, it wasn't paid for by insurance.
Mm-hmm.
From the moment we met her, we took to this child, and we went to Newsday. We got her some publicity, and she wound up going into a hyperbaric chamber every other
Mm-hmm.
day. We were there with her at times. We taught the family lots of things on how to raise the money. We helped the family start a nonprofit called the Hope for Nicole. And a lot of things happened out in Suffolk County when we were trying, because it's hard to get people to really help.
All right.
And the parents were so struck with such, fear of everything, they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do it. So we had a few things for them, but the one big thing we had was a theater experience in a beautiful theater out in Suffolk County called Creative Ministries, and we put on a performance of Grease, and
Mm.
they had the players do it, and everybody came for that little girl,
Mm-hmm.
including a wonderful man who saw it in Newsday from Stalco Construction, who basically helped raise money for this child.
Mm-hmm.
So the book has all the pitfalls that I experienced because I wouldn't take no for an answer from a lot of people. And at one point, I got thrown out of the fire department in Sandwich because we wanted so much help. But in the end, if you read the story, that fire department management team, they loved us.
Mm.
And we had some other things there, including garage sales. And in the book, you'll see all the things that happened that were funny but serious. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
at one point had Playboy magazines donated to us in our yards. And, people were just dropping things off in our yards. And we had little kids at the time. My girlfriend and I were like, put those magazines somewhere. What are we going to do with it? Anyway, the book is great. It shows you how getting involved in your community helps your career, helps your brain, helps the family. And we stayed with them for about 4 years. And
Mm-hmm.
then we were so connected, it was time for us to back away. She's
Mm-hmm.
still alive. She's a beautiful girl. And her parents are wonderful. And I get a Christmas card from her every year. And she's a big memory. And it's a coffee table book. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very pretty. And it's
Mm-hmm.
about me and my best friend and how our friendship grew from
Mm-hmm.
this experience. And at the end, the last event we had, she wound up in the hospital and I was there alone. And
Wow.
it was so upsetting. But in the end, we're still best friends. Our
Mm-hmm.
children are entwined together.
Mm-hmm.
And she's one of my biggest supporters when I do all these crazy things, because I say crazy is good. Crazy sells in marketing.
Right. So, where can people find each of your books? So, is this book available on your website? Where is it available?
Well,
And
both
also,
books are ValentinaJanek.com.
okay.
It's my website. And it's also available in many places if you go to my website. In Love and Friendship, I can get to you very easily. I can mail it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But they all are at my website, ValentinaJanek.com.
Okay. Good. Good. Okay. So let's transition a little bit to another interesting aspect, which I wouldn't have expected, and perhaps you didn't either. But your acting career. Talk about that a bit.
Well,
How
the
did that come
acting
about?
career, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bored. I love the show, and I'm still
Mm-hmm.
doing it. But I got into, the actual show. And I thought I'd volunteer for something different. So I went to the
Mm-hmm.
film festival, met Jerry Ferretti from Ferretti Films. He does a beautiful film festival every year. I've been with him 4.5 years. So he taught me a few
Which
things,
festival is
and
this?
I would try to sell my book at
Which
the
festival?
festival.
Is this the Long
Oh, the
Island Film
NY,
Festival? Which?
New York Long Island Film Festival. And
Okay.
it's
Good.
held in Lindenhurst. It's coming up in
Mm-hmm.
October. And you can find it on my website, on his website, nyliff.com. It's 3 days
Mm-hmm.
of films. You get to eat hamburgers, you get to meet great producers, and you get to maybe get a chance to be in a film in the future. And that's how I met Jerry Ferretti, because he needed help with volunteers, and I was selling my book. So I brought some
Mm-hmm.
authors with me, and that's how I learned all about film. And then he gave me a shot because I was there and somebody didn't show up. And now they're calling me an actress. But I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still not where I think I should be, but I'm in 5 films. And I depict an
Wow.
Italian mother who's loving
Mm-hmm.
and who just loves to help people. and I'm in a new sitcom called The Fontanas, which will be coming out soon. My name is Jackie, and I have four
Hmm.
very bad sons. And it's a little mafioso as well, and it's quite interesting. It's a lot of fun. It's similar to Sopranos, but I won't put myself in that category. But
Hmm.
it's been a big enlightenment for me, and it's all about being taught by somebody that really wants you to learn. And I even brought some of the Breakfast Club women to be part in the background because
Hmm.
there's always room for people in background. You get free lunch, you get to meet great people, have fun, and you get to try something new.
That's great. So Ferretti Films, right? So can people see this yet, or is it not out yet?
They can go to YouTube, put
Okay.
in the Fontanas, and you'll see clips. And soon it will be out. And
Okay.
I'm having
All
a
right.
great time. And really, I am an Italian mother. I just don't have sons. I have a daughter. And in the
Hmm.
film, I have to say I should have had daughters or maybe a dog because my sons are so bad in the film.
Wow. And so, did you get tips from Ferretti on how to act? How did you get, or you just were yourself and got
Well,
some?
I was myself, but he really taught me a lot. And
Uh
then
huh.
sometimes it's very stressful. You could do a scene five, six, seven times.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
he taught me a lot about really understanding the whole movie or the whole, script. And
Hmm.
then as you have to do your lines, if you change a word, it might be okay. But
Okay.
it's all about your personality.
Right. Right.
And he told me a lot, and even about the way you dress, the way you look, and just really putting me in the right place at the right time. And I
Hmm.
taught him a lot about networking and
Right.
bringing people
Oh.
together. And he built this film festival. It has grown tremendously. And now
Hmm.
this year it will be 4 days, actually 4 days of fun, movies, and meeting fantastic producers.
Hmm. Hmm. So, what do you think? You mentioned to me that every time you tried something new, you learned something new and grew from the experience. How would you say you grew from this experience in films?
I believe that I have the ability, if I can come up with the money, to make a
Hmm.
film about my two books,
Oh, okay.
my own film.
Right.
And,
Right.
a short film would be my baby book, which would be about Nicole. And a
Hmm.
larger
Hmm.
film would be just like the Breakfast Club film. And I have all the people that could be in it because they're all in my book. I
Hmm.
met all these
Hmm.
great people. And now, from my book, a lot of the people in my book wrote their own book
Really?
because you teach people. That's another thing that came out of it. When you write a
Hmm.
book, you become an expert. Then you
Right.
get paid for guest speaking.
Hmm.
And then you're
Hmm.
called the expert and you will get paid. Sometimes not too much, sometimes too much. And sometimes you just go to the library, but you
Right.
get experience. And then you might get another gig because someone needs help with their
Hmm.
career. Maybe they want to be an actress now.
Right.
Maybe they just want a brand new thing. And that's what I learned. But I learned one thing: failure is not an option.
Hmm.
Because if
Hmm.
you fail, that's okay, because then you won't make that same mistake again. And I
Right.
failed many times. I mean,
Hmm.
if I look at my first book and my second book, forget about it. I mean, as they
Hmm.
say, forget about it. You know, I made mistakes the first time around. I printed the book 10 times with mistakes, but I didn't reach out to the right expert.
Hmm.
Experts will help you, and men and women alike, but women do
Hmm.
help women more.
Hmm.
And as we say at the Breakfast Club, we meet all the time, we network, and we just deal with people that want to help each other. And if they don't, we
Right.
just turn the corner and go the other way.
Right.
Because there
Right.
is a big, thing out there with people that are jealous or different things that people want to take your brain apart and
Hmm.
learn from you, but then they take your ideas.
Yeah. That does happen, yeah. So, and you make mistakes, but I like that failure is not an option. You cannot be successful unless you fail many times,
Exactly. That's what
and
you
and they're
learn.
just and they're really not failures. They're just steps towards success. And I forget who told me once, but somebody mentioned me once. Their goal in life was to keep making better mistakes which I think
Right.
is a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I would never have told you, 25 years ago that I'd be doing this now. Never.
Hmm.
I used to try to pitch in the newsroom to be part of a story, you know, and
Hmm.
actually my idea, and was always told that, oh, sponsors won't pay for that, because I was
Hmm.
always pitching women and also pitching administrative, because they're the grease behind the wheel.
Hmm.
And yet those people behind the big wheel never get the attention. And I believe
Right.
in that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
even had an event once called The Grease Behind the Wheel. I did. And
Yeah.
every secretary got to go to the Garden City Hotel for lunch for the day and
Hmm.
got these great gifts. And it was on Administrative Day in April.
Wow. That's nice. 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 We're going to come to a break pretty soon, but before we do, now you have a separate website for the Breakfast Club, right?
Yes, it's www.longislandbreakfastclubshow.com.
Okay. 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 And that, when does that stream?
Every Thursday, but then it
Okay.
goes to YouTube. It's
Hmm.
on at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We're
Okay.
doing a women's kind of night with some ladies that all met by accident, and they're called the
Hmm.
Lovely Ladies of Long Island, and they're all volunteers. Hmm.
Much
And
better than
it streams at 7, and the studio is in Massapequa, and we allow people to come in and watch it live. On
right.
Thursdays, they have to show up by 3:45. And
Right.
some people come, and we serve wine on the show, believe it or
Hmm.
not, because wine is a camaraderie kind of thing. And we
Hmm.
always eat a snack. We give
Right.
everyone Italian bread on the show.
Okay. Now,
That's,
and people can
yeah.
listen to it. I mean, it's obviously it's the Ladies of Long Island, but you can hear it anywhere, right? I mean, you can watch it, across the country, right? Because it's streaming, right?
Yes, it's streaming and it's great. And the studio is phenomenal. Anybody can come and
Hmm.
do a video there, and
Hmm.
then you get very pricing. But there's like 27 shows that go out of there every other day.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
like the biggest kept secret on Long Island.
Hmm. Well, good. So we'll make sure that people know about it across the country as well as Long Island.
Yeah, and they can
And
call me, and I can get them set up.
hmm yeah, good,
I
good.
like helping people that need something new, but it's not as expensive, because in today's world, it's too
Hmm.
expensive for business owners.
Yeah,
And talk
yeah,
about, people that are widows or lost their jobs. You have to keep it enough that people can try something new.
right. Great. Okay. Well, we're going to try another break right now. So,
Okay,
all right. So,
thank
folks, we're
you.
going to take another short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with much more from Valentina Janek. So, come right back.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth, and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBN Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, folks. Once again, this is Ron Roel with 45 Forward on Bold Brave TV. We are talking today with Valentina Janek during Women's History Month, she's made history and continues to make history with all her achievements. We were talking earlier in the show about a lot of her consulting in mid-career and so forth, but we've also talked about her acting. And now we're going to talk about something similar, which is it's a very different film from the Fontanas. It's called Max. So tell us about Max.
Well, in the movie Max, it's going to be a feature.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually held, all the movie was done in my home.
Mm.
And it took 17 days, which was a little bit extreme, but
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot by doing it. I play Graziella, who is an Italian mom who loves her son
Mm-hmm.
very much, who is in the spectrum of autism.
Mm-hmm.
And
Got
now
it.
that he's getting older, she's very concerned about what's going to happen to him when she passes, because she doesn't have a lot of family. And also, he's falling in love with an Asian girl, and I think she's taking advantage of him. And it's
Okay.
a story about how I try to get involved, and he's not happy about it. And in the end, everything in the end is actually a beautiful ending. But to get to the point of that beautiful ending, he gets treated a little poorly by this gal. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn as his mother to back away and let him find things out for himself. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of concerns. There's a lot of people that have children with disabilities, and
Right.
especially in the spectrum, some of these people, and this is a grown man. That I mean,
Right.
he's my son, but he's a grown man. Um, he wants to do his own thing, and he doesn't want
Mm-hmm.
mama involved. And I'm overprotective, religious, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm involved. And
Mm-hmm.
it's actually quite a movie. It touches my heart because I have two people in my own family that
Mm-hmm.
are in the spectrum. My grandchildren, one, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. And I never really thought about what a mother goes through when
Mm-hmm.
you have. And I saw a lot of things my daughter went through when he was a young boy. Now he's like terrific, graduating high school. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the people you meet that maybe don't help you, where you need to meet the right people to help you as a mother to
Mm-hmm.
not take no for an answer, because
Mm-hmm.
you have to fight for everything when you have a child in the spectrum and they get
Yeah.
labeled, and that's not fair.
Yeah.
So now I probably will wind up helping a mother eventually in that kind of a situation in the future. And I
Mm-hmm.
also help seniors, and I'm a senior in that
Right.
movie. So it's sort
Okay.
of connected. And it happened because I was volunteering at the film festival, but my film and it was up on the screen, and somebody came over to me, and he happens to be a high school teacher in Floral Park, where I was raised, and he said,
Uh-huh.
I want you to do an audition." And
Wow.
that's what happened. And it all
Wow.
happened because of networking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Networking is the key to life.
Right.
Even though maybe you don't always make the right decisions or you don't go to the right event. But I say, go to the event where you have the interest, pay the $100, make the
Mm-hmm.
money to go. But don't go to
Mm-hmm.
an event where it's not of your interest. And
Right.
then you'll be sitting with someone at a table that may help you.
Right. What so how long a film will Max be? You
About
said
an
it's a
hour and
feature.
a half.
Okay. Okay.
And it was done in Queens,
Right.
and also in my home where I live in Valley Stream,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about what happens in the house and how, and going out with Max and just things he's annoying in the stores and how people treat you when you are in the spectrum,
Yeah.
especially students and things like that. But it's a love story, believe it or not.
Mm. Yeah, no, I hear it. Yeah. Yeah. So
I
this is
enjoyed it a lot.
yeah. Yeah. How long did it take you to make? You said 17 days. Is that right?
17 days in my house, which I didn't think it was
Okay.
going to take that long, to be honest with you.
Well.
But I'm glad I did it because
Yeah.
they do your house, use your house for a movie,
Mm-hmm.
they take everything down. You're talking work. It takes a lot of work. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you
Mm-hmm.
don't do the scene right, let's do it again. Let's do it again. And I never knew because this particular filmmaker was a little tough. But you know what? In the end, it looks great. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty happy about it because I never thought I could do that. So I have a niche now, which is a good thing for me because I'm joined IMDb, which is something for people that want to act.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get in there in your 5 films, you're in there. And when people are looking for someone, you're in that niche. I'm in Italian, mother,
Mm-hmm.
mature, loving, and that's how you get calls for other things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's not an easy niche either. As you get older, of course, this is one of the things about the film industry is that it's getting better. I mean, we are getting
It's
some older
difficult. I mean,
actresses, but it's
yes,
difficult. They're looking for young talent, but I think that it's changing because people realize, well, they want to see something authentic, right?
yes,
And people are older, and they're good
absolutely.
actors, and they have something to say, and I do see some of these series of I like watching detective shows and things
Oh,
like that. But
absolutely.
I'm looking at some of these detectives and I'm like, that's not a real detective. That doesn't look like I'm sorry, but I want someone a little older, a little wizened
Someone
wisdom.
that's believable,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, tell the truth. I mean, I always say that the truth sets you free. Um,
Yeah.
but I did a documentary also with some people from California that came in. They interviewed 17 people from the Breakfast Club because
Wow.
they wanted to know what does it feel like when you get laid off and you're over
Oh.
50.
Oh, interesting. So what film is that?
It's called Life After Over 50.
Oh,
Life over
okay.
50, downsize at 50.
Oh, and where can people see? Is that on
I
YouTube as
have to
well?
find that. I'll post that to you. I haven't seen it in a
Okay.
while, but
Okay.
a lot of the Breakfast Club members were in it. And back
Yeah.
when all the downsizing was going on, we were on Channel 12 a lot
Wow.
because we told the truth. We told the truth.
Mhm.
Sometimes they
Mhm.
would call me when the numbers would come out on unemployment. And
Oh,
I
wow.
wasn't versed in that. But what I was versed in was people are struggling. And
Right.
I was trying to
Hmm.
get corporate companies to make an internship for seniors, for people over
Oh,
50. Now we're all in our 70s. This was a while ago when we started
right.
all this, but they wouldn't do it. Nobody would listen. No president wanted to make an internship for.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, maybe that'll
But
that'll change, I hope. Let's see if we can get someone, maybe a nonprofit would jump in, or maybe, a
right,
lot of organizations, there's the Transition Network, I think, for women. There are lots. I
yes,
think things have changed in 20 years, so
that's
I
true.
wouldn't I wouldn't give up on that. Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not a quitter. I mean, I don't. I just like it depends on whatever comes my way, then I get entrenched in it because I'm
Mhm.
very passionate about it. But
Right.
basically, they're all similar.
Mhm.
It's all about people that need help.
Right.
And there's one word that I always use, and it's the underserved. The
Oh,
underserved in corporate America are the people that lost their jobs,
I
and
see.
nobody in politics wants to do anything about it.
Hmm.
I trust me, I've had my conversations.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's working on trying to get reelected, and it's not. But again, I think as society ages, and more people experience this, it will change. But change is slow sometimes.
It
But
takes time.
yeah, I'm glad you're still in it. And
I
talking
am,
about
and I will be.
yeah, yeah.
I
Talking about the
will be.
underserved though, the underserved. Let's get back to that because I think that that's one of the also the underlying themes of Max, right? And I think this is people, again, the whole area of mental health, I think, is a
Oh,
is
it's
a tough
huge right
subject.
now.
Yeah, it's huge, but it's also still, not there. It's not really being addressed. It's sort of, it is a little bit, but it comes in where, people are like, and I think one of the interesting things that came out of the pandemic was that realization of how much stress and anxiety and depression people had. But then,
Oh, it's
I think,
huge.
yeah, but things then fade. but I think it's integral to our society, and I think that one of the things, especially about things like the spectrum, I think really bring out that you know mental health really is a spectrum in general. Even if you're
Yes,
not on a spectrum, you're somewhere on a spectrum, and I think that it's got to be brought into the mainstream in terms of
absolutely. Yes.
how do we deal with this. You know.
Well, not only that, I mean, if you look at the numbers of, how they're giving some money, the politicians are putting money in certain areas for certain
Mm-hmm.
things. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of it is on about health, wellness, and depression. And
Yeah.
kids today, here's another thing.
Right.
These are young kids that are depressed and killing themselves. I
Right.
mean, and parents don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
they need to educate the parents as well as the kids.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
and there was a big need for psychologists and the other doctors that give the medication, psychiatrists. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a big difference between one and the other.
Right. Right.
And it used to be that was a bad word. You would never say I'm depressed. Well, it's not a
Mhm.
bad word anymore.
Yep.
Everybody's depressed and everybody's on Xanax. So,
Right.
and then the health industry is trying to change that by
Right.
doing more vitamins and things that are more important and sunshine and positivity.
Yeah.
But if you want to know what's going to motivate a staff, positivity, something different, bring someone in, do something totally different for your staff,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but that's a hard sell in corporate
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
It's
But
a hard
we need
sell.
to keep selling it because it's a big part of it. It's not just meds, as you say, and you need to keep the conversation going.
Yes.
So yes, so we are going to keep the conversation going. We do. Things have gone by quickly, but we do have one more vital segment with you, Valentina. So folks, don't don't go away. We have an interesting wrap up, and we'll be right back.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, folks. Ron Roel. I'm the host of 45 Forward on Bold Brave TV. We are talking today with Valentina Janek about many of her endeavors over the course of her life, from corporate consulting to her writing career to her acting career. And one of the things that underlies a lot of what we've talked about is her desire to really help people in whatever capacity. So really helping people and contributing to the community. So we have just a few more minutes at the end here, but I wanted to squeeze in one more experience that I found very interesting, which is spearheading a stage play called Children of the April Rain. Tell us about that, Valentina.
Well, The Children of the April Rain is the true story of the Vietnam baby lift.
Mm.
There are many people that don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Years and years ago, there was a couple, woman and a man named Lana Noon and her husband, who really organized all these babies from Vietnam to be
Mm-hmm.
coming to New York in the
Mm-hmm.
airport for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
The plane went down, and there's a big story about all the couples that lost children, that
Wow.
got children, and basically some one or two children that didn't make it when the plane
Mm-hmm.
went down. There were boxes in the ocean of all these babies that were coming in that
Wow.
totally almost didn't make it. And
Wow.
Lana Noon is an 86-year-old woman who reached out to me, and she said, I want to reenact the play of what happened. And there was an editor who actually wrote the play,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, I don't know how we could do that. But we did, and she gave us
Mm-hmm.
all the scenes, and we had it basically at my last place where we did the show in
Mm-hmm.
West Hempstead in the parking lot of the nightclub,
Wow.
and everybody had a part, and it was fabulous. And then we was contacted by the Cradle of Aviation, and every year they do a whole show about it, and there's a whole place in the Cradle if the Pan Am where everything happened when the plane went down.
Wow.
And then they bring all the people from that accident that are now adults, the
Mm-hmm.
babies and their families, and they all connect.
Wow.
And it's done
Wow.
once a year in the Cradle. And if anybody wants information about it, they should just Google Children of
Mm-hmm.
the April Rain. There was so many kids and adults that don't know the story. And
Yeah.
all you have to do is Google the baby lift Vietnam. And
Right.
this lady is still alive, and she still calls me all the time, let's do it again. But
Wow.
it's out of my hands now because now they do it at the Cradle,
Right.
and it's expensive, and
Right.
they make money on it because they do a big fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still in her wheelchair that goes. And
Mm-hmm.
and I went last time, and I met the man that was, on the plane, that drove the plane. He was, in the air,
Wow.
and his family,
Right.
and
Right.
pictures. And there's such a beautiful place in the Cradle where you can go up and see the whole thing with the stewardesses and everything.
Yeah. So for
And
people who aren't from Long Island, so this is the Cradle of Aviation Museum, right?
yes, in the Cradle, they have a whole Pan Am section
Right.
and everything that happened at the baby lift. And
Right.
Lana
Right.
Noon is the name of the lady. She's a lovely lady. She drove us up a wall, but she
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going to quit. And they have an anniversary mass every year.
Wow.
And she wrote a book as well.
Right.
And that's how this all started, because she knew I had a book. And
Wow.
she said, I was told that you can do anything. I said, oh, okay. And she said, I can donate muffins. I'm like, that's nothing. But we got it done,
Yeah. Right.
because you need people that want to help. It was
Yeah.
small,
Mm-hmm.
but from that, it went to the Cradle. So
Yeah.
it was
Uh,
quite nice. We were in the Long Island Press. There was like a 3-page spread about it.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We always seem to get it because what we do is different, unique.
Yeah. Now, could people see that online? I mean, is it on
Yeah,
YouTube or anything?
you just Google the Vietnam baby lift,
Okay.
and you'll
Good.
see everything about it. And I'm sure there's many people out there that have no idea what happened all
Yeah.
those years ago. And she lost her baby.
Right. Wow.
Her baby
Wow.
didn't make it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, the time has gone by. There's much more I could talk about with you, Valentina, but I will have to leave it there for today. I want to thank you so much for a terrific, thought-provoking, entertaining conversation. If people, again, have questions or comments for you, they can contact you through your email or website. What's the best way for them to
Yes,
contact
best way is valentinajanek.com,
you? Okay.
vjanek@optonline.net, or longislandbreakfastclubshow.com. And I'm everywhere on Google. You just give my name, you'll find it. And if
Okay.
anybody out there doesn't know where to go or what to do for a certain subject, they need a referral, I can help them, because the list keeps growing of all the
Mm-hmm.
people that we know in different industries. You want to do something different, you need an event, a mini event, you need something to motivate your staff. bring me in. We'll
Yeah.
get them motivated. We'll find out what they want to do, and we'll make it something happen.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, I do find, uh, the more you live, the more you talk to people, whether they're younger or older, they just need help. And it's not always a very, um, difficult thing, but you need to. They just, where can I get help? So I'm glad you're
Yeah,
there. I
thank
appreciate
you.
what you've done. So again, folks, you've been watching 45 Forward on Bold Brave TV. Thank you for spending an hour with me and learning and growing and hearing inspiring stories like those from Valentina. We can continue to each week to help you make your second half of life even better than the first. So join me next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be talking with Renata Glass, who is the founder of Ageless Living. It's a company that offers a unique suite of services, concierge movement, home safety, home organization, interior design, all tailored to meet the needs of a very diverse clientele. And so, folks, until next week, keep moving forward, 45 forward.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure.
I say get up, get dressed, show up every day.
Get up, get dressed, show up. I like it.
This has been 45 Forward with host Ron Roel. Tune in each week as Ron tackles the many aspects of health, finance, family and friends, housing, work, and personal pursuits, all as part of an integrated plan and to take charge of your unretiring life during these uncertain times. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network, powered by B2 Studios.